We are a close-knit family.
Hi.
I'm Sue. This is my son.
We recorded this one.
That's not his name. His name is...
Mike.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We recorded this once. It had suspense. It had all sorts of...
It had intrigue. There was a whole first, second, third act structure.
And we didn't have the microphone on. So, sorry about that.
Hi.
Well, like I said, my name's Sue.
I'm Michael.
And we are coming at you from the sunny North Okanagan, BC.
Real sunny today, actually.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did I mention you need to trim your beard?
You did, man. Yeah, this is all coming off.
Oh.
I'm planning on like I'm not taking it. So.
Okay. We want to talk about knitting.
We want to talk about knitting.
I have been knitting like pretty much my whole life. For forever. Knitting for my kids, knitting for my family, doing all those fun things. And recently my gamer boy son sent me a Ravelry link. Like just right out of left field. It's like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah. I found that pattern. Someone was posting about it on a website that I frequent and just kind of saying, hey, the description of this is kind of funny and, it's a ranger cowl, so it'll be good for your cosplays. And I sent it to Mom and was like, hey, this is cool.
And I was like, what is my 21-year-old son doing sending me a Ravelry link? I don't understand. Anyway, once we determined that, yeah, he'd actually kind of like this thing. It's called the Ranger Cowl. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then I said, hey, well, do you want to knit it? And...
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, we're not going to have him dive in straight into the Ranger Cowl.
No. We're
going to make sure he's got at least a decent foundation to begin with. And we thought, hey, we should record your progress.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, maybe this will even be inspirational, potentially, for someone else who has been thinking about it, but is kind of scared to. Well, Here we go. Let's see. Let's see where it goes. So, yeah, the pattern he is interested in making is called the Ranger Cowl by Michael Vlodman. Actually, he's got some kind of funky stuff. I like a few of his things. Anyway, so... as all good knitters know, the very first step in knitting is setting up a Ravelry account.
Naturally. So I did.
So we set up Mike's Ravelry account, and I just wanted him to go and, like, we were looking at patterns to see something easy that he could knit that wouldn't be, like, totally boring. And because you knit...
Yeah, I had a couple false starts in knitting. In elementary school I was part of a knitting club which met sometimes, and no, really we did. And I always got stuck doing. Hi, Jude. I always got stuck doing that one scarf that everyone seems to do as their first project. It just wasn't interesting. Hi, Jude. Hi, Kat.
I've already had my shower today. Our cat, well, she likes people to take showers.
She likes to make sure you've had your shower.
She'll meet people at the door and escort them
to
into the bathroom so they can have a shower.
Yeah.
She's a weird cat. Anyway.
Yeah. Scarves.
So you did that.
Yeah, I did that in elementary school and didn't really get anywhere with it.
So we're hoping to improve on that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of the muscle memory is still there, and hopefully you'll pick it up pretty good over time. Whatever. Yep. So then we wanted to get the Ranger Cowl just into this library, so we didn't, down the road go. What was that thing? Yeah, what was that thing we were going to make? So that's what we did. And then Mike started asking me questions.
Yeah.
Because he's a details kind of a guy.
Yeah.
And so we thought it would be interesting to actually film his questions, see if I could answer them, because I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, we actually also found, as a good starter pattern, Sampler Scarf for Beginners by Julie L. Anderson. And so I'm gonna pick some details from this. Okay, so published in The Bird's Nest, that's, I'm guessing, a page. Craft, knitting, okay. Category, neck, torso, scarf, okay. Published August 2011, okay. Suggested yarn, Knit Picks wool of the Andes worsted. I'm willing to accept that that is a brand and product of wool. I don't really feel the need to go into exactly what all those words mean because I'm sure it's proprietary.
But what you should know is if you tapped on that, it would probably, I think it would take you somewhere.
It would take me.
There you go.
Take me to the Knit Picks stage.
Where you
page. With their wool of the worsted.
So it shows you all about. So anyway, that's just we didn't do that last time.
No, we didn't. That's me generally learning something.
Yeah.
Okay, yarn weight worsted 9 WPI.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. So worsted is a yarn weight. So if you think about your yarn, you've got, so like fingering weight is like what I make socks out of.
Right.
So the little thin
okay,
yarn.
Yeah.
And then, I've knit other things for you, like toques and things that are like out of heavier, big, chunkier yarns.
Okay.
So worsted is a classification of yarn. I think it goes like fingering, DK, worsted, Aran, something like that. Yeah. And did you ask me about that other part of it?
The 9W. Yeah, what's the 9WPI?
So that's, and I was right the first time too, is wraps per inch. So if you wrap that around something, how much cover, like 9 wraps.
Right.
Well, it should be an inch.
Okay.
Which gives you an idea of how thick the yarn is.
Yeah.
And so when we did go on to the Ravelry page and look a little bit closer at that, we found out that they've got like knitting gauges on there, or average knitting gauges. It talks about how many plies, and again, this is I would take that with a grain of salt.
UK,
because
New Zealand, Australia is apparently what uses ply.
Oh, I guess.
Those what use ply.
You're so smart. He is actually, but I'm not. It's not just saying that because I'm his mom. Really. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. That's what that is.
Okay.
Moving right along.
So, gauge 10 stitches and 20 rows equals 5 centimeters in garter stitch. What?
Gauge is very important.
Gauge is
something you always want to do a gauge swatch.
I learned that the first time we recorded this, but...
And you're going to learn about it again. You always want to do a gauge swatch, especially if you're knitting something that is fitted. Case in point.
Yes.
I did not do a gauge swatch when I knit this up.
Okay.
And when I finished it, it was too small.
Oh.
So I actually modified the pattern and added all of this part on because I needed it to be bigger. If I had done a gauge swatch, I would have known. But I didn't think it was, it's not a fitted thing. Yeah. Anyway, so gauge, yes, that's how the person who originally knit this and designed it, when they knit it, and they took a 4-inch square and held it up to their knitting, in this case 5 centimeters. It's usually a 4-inch square. And they did it somewhere in the center part of their knitting, not right over on an edge and not near a cast on edge.
Okay.
They counted how many stitches across.
Right.
And how many rows down fit inside that 4-inch square.
And they got...
That's how you can tell when you knit up a gauge swatch and you want to make it bigger. So if they say over 10 stitches and 20 rows, you want to do something bigger, like 20 stitches and 30 rows. because you want to be like in the center part of your knitting, not by an edge or something.
Right, yeah.
Because, and then you'll know if your knitting is the same size as theirs, or bigger or smaller, and then you adjust your pattern accordingly.
Okay. So yeah, I get a lot of information packed into one sentence. Okay.
Gauge is important.
Very important. Needle size, US 7, 4.5 millimeters. So when I first read that, I assumed it was 4.5 millimeter diameter, but
no, it's circumference.
Circumference, and that makes sense as to why that is more useful than diameter, because
says I somewhat confidently, and then started to question myself, but I'm still pretty sure it's circumference.
And then there's US 7 because the US is special and needs to have their own needle size.
There used to be the same. There used to be a Canadian size and the US size and the English and European and everybody. Most people have gone to the millimeters, but the US definitely still has their number sizes.
Right. Next one is yardage, 330 to 400 yards, bracket, 302 to 366 meters. That's a lot of yarn.
Yeah.
I can visualize how much yarn that would be. That is a lot of yarn.
But, and then your finished project
is about 60 inches, about 5 feet.
Oh, I said 6 feet.
You said 6 feet last time. It was 5 feet. So you
it didn't get recorded, so no one ever needs to know.
So you take...
So, us.
You take 3 football fields of yarn, and then you go back and forth, 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 and you get 5 feet.
Yeah. So the other information you get here is that this is intended for an adult. It's got texture in the pattern.
Yeah.
It's unisex. You worked flat. That's important to know beforehand, and it's a written pattern as opposed to a charted pattern, because some patterns come in charts.
Right. Yeah. And so okay, worked flat would be like you have 2 needles, you're knitting back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
And then the other one that I see you often do is like knitting in the round.
So as we refer to the wall again, this is worked flat.
Okay.
Back and forth, because it's not joined in a circle.
Okay.
This is worked in the round.
Okay.
Because it's a big old circle.
Oh. That wasn't recorded last time.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't. And like socks, when I knit socks.
Knit in the round. Okay.
And knitting in the round is actually knitting a spiral, but that is a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's that.
That's that.
So we got Micah's Ravelry page.
Yep.
We've picked a pattern.
Yep.
I wrote him a pattern.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted something that was really, really simple and and we could be very flexible with, and that's what we did. So now, dun dun dun, the suspense, because Mike needs to pick a yarn. So I went to my stash and I looked for yarns that I wanted to use something that was a little bit bulkier for that sense of accomplishment. Watch it grow faster. And I thought I had tons of leftover yarn, but then I realized I donated it all. So Mike gets to choose. So the yarn that I found that was most, because apparently now all I've got is fingering. I've gone on a fingering. Never mind.
No.
Never mind.
No.
Anyway, so none of these tags are particularly okay. So here we go. So Barocco Vintage Chunky is the yarn that we're looking at, and Mike gets to choose from this lovely orangey rust shade, this amazing mustard yellow, or this lovely heathered green. It actually does have a very nice heathering to it. You can just see it there. Anyway, they actually are very, very nice yarns. They're not my usual thing, but they were on sale. Okay, so what yarn did you choose, Mike?
I chose rust.
Okay.
What the suspense?
So Mike chose rust. So from here, We're not going to make you watch.
No.
I'm going to get Mike to cast on, and he will cast on his own thing. I'm not one of those people who go, here, let me cast on for you. That's like that old adage about teach a man to fish. You know, you can teach someone to knit, but if they can't cast on, they're not going to be able to knit.
No.
So,
actually, that's another problem with my first time knitting, is someone else cast on for me.
You'll be doing it yourself this time. And that whole discussion about what kind of cast on we're going to do, I don't even know. Okay,
I mean, now that I think about it, of course there's different kinds of cast on, but I didn't realize there was such a thing about it?
Yeah, when you cast on... Okay, the cast on that I learned back in the day from my mom, I just called it the old-fashioned way. And then I found out, you know, it's one of the... when I sort of got into the knitting community again, like 5 or 6 years ago, after years of just knitting on my own, I found out there were different ways to cast on. And the other day I watched somebody who was doing a cast on, and the cast on that I think of as the old-fashioned cast on, they called the cable cast on. And then someone else did the exact same cast on and called it the knitted cast on. So I just don't even know what it's called anymore. But I usually do a form, see, and then there's the long tail cast on, and I said I wasn't going to talk about this right now.
What?
There's the long tail cast on, but again, I've seen that done so many different ways. So we're going to slingshot.
Okay. Okay.
Mike's going to learn how to slingshot cast on, because that's my favorite one. It's a little bit stretchier than the knitted / cable cast on.
Is that why it's called the slingshot?
No, it's because of the way you hold the yarn.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. Who knows?
If I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of the way you hold the yarn. Okay, so we're going to check back with Mike in a week. We hope to do this once a week and find out how he's doing on his learning project. In the meantime, let's look at what I was working on today.
Yes, I understand there are WIPs and FOs. Don't WIPs help with your FOs?
So, yes, WIPs. A WIP?
WIP. Okay, WIP I know. Work in progress.
Work in progress. FO is a finished object.
Yes.
And HO.
Half objects?
Yes. I thought you were going to say something else.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, okay. So yes, a half object. Usually something like socks that are done in twos. Anyway, so this is what I was knitting on today. So this is the butterfly papillon, which is a very redundant statement.
Peekaboo.
Shawl. And this one is done with Malabrigo black and a crazy Zauberball. I love the way the yarn colors pool. And this is the same shawl I did before. This was done with a painted desert yarn. And again, yeah, the color pooling is so cool. It makes it look like a really difficult knit.
It really does.
But it's garter stitch, short rows, and counting. So if you're not a counter, you don't want to do this one. And I'd never done a short row before I did that.
We'll talk about this later, but is there actually like a definition of what a short row is, or? Like you say you've never done a short row project before. Is that so? Like, what defines?
Well, a short row is a row that doesn't, like, normally when you knit from this side and you knit to that side.
Okay.
And you knit from that side and you knit, or you.
Okay.
Right? With a short row, you stop and you come back short.
Okay. Okay.
So
like it's not just like, you know, I'm only knitting five rows, stitches. No. Okay. Like, you know.
No.
Okay.
But since we're talking about it, if you look here, okay, so this is what I try and explain to people all the time. Every row, and think about this as I'm saying this, every row of this shawl is one row is colored, the next row is black, the next row has color, the next row has black. I know. I know,
okay.
right?
Okay.
So if you look down, like right at the side here, the whole shawl is based on that. Two rows of black, 2 rows of color. So one all the way across with black, all the way across and back with color. Except with the color rows, when you're coming back, this is the side. When you're coming back, you come back and you do short rows. So you come back and you do this short row section. You go boop, 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 and then you keep going. And you keep going, and then you do this short row section. And then you keep going. And then you do this short row section. And you keep going. And then you do this short row section. So it's like, I mean, I know some people are going to say that's not like just a row. There's also a whole bunch of stuff going on in that row. But ultimately, you're just alternating between a colored row and a black row. Except on your return trip on the colored row, you're doing a whole bunch of short row work. Anyway, enough about that.
Enough about that.
We didn't talk about that last time
no,
either.
No, we didn't. I think we need to slow down. We're blowing all our content.
How exciting. So, what my next project that I am hoping to cast on is called the Graphite Tank. And I'm going to be knitting it out of the Cascade Ultra Pima cotton. The main body of it will be in this color. It's hard to tell. It's never easy to tell the colors in these things, but this is kind of a pale yellowy green color. And then, so that's like the body of the tank.
Yeah, I would almost say for that, like, you know how, think of I think a daffodil is a white flower?
Yeah.
They sort of caught as it sort of goes towards the green base, they kind of caught one of the green colors in that transition.
So you find that green color,
yes,
and you'll know exactly what it is.
that makes so much sense.
So then the bottom is 3 tiers of lace. He's very smart, really.
I'm bad with words.
3 tiers of lace at the bottom. So the body will be this with these 3 colors at the bottom in Pima cotton. So I'm hoping to get that cast on this week and at least started.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Okay. So, do you have some favorite knitting?
Yes, of course. Mom being a knitter, I have received many knitted things over the years, and they're all wonderful. I love them. I particularly love socks. Oh, God. It's probably not the smartest idea.
I don't know if you washed it since the last
I have.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So this one is one of the Regia, the Arna and Carlos yarns, the perfect pair yarns. That's what that one is.
And yeah, there's also this one which gave me for Christmas this last year. Yeah, I love the color on it. There's a little bit of cabling. Cabling I know. I know cabling.
It's part of his ranger cowl.
A little bit of cabling up there and just around the top. And gosh, these socks are so comfy.
So this is I guess you could say I followed the church mouse pattern for this one. Except that I wanted to put a little bit of cabling in, and then I was bored with the cabling really fast, and so I stopped. But I know that's kind of a goofy. I just used another sock yarn that had some nylon in it, so it wouldn't wear out too fast. But I used the gusset heel flap style of heel And these are the ones I did 4 at a time.
Oh,
I did 2.
right.
I did your and Dad's socks, both at the same time.
That was impressive.
That was. I'm a total 2 at a timer for socks because I have serious second sock syndrome. And when I knit these ones, I wanted to make sure that they were the same because even though it's supposed to be all perfect and the same, they weren't. Just saying. Okay, so, but this is a short row heel.
Oh.
This is the heel flap and gusset. And I personally find the fit with the heel flap and gusset more comfortable.
Yeah, those ones are certainly a little bit easier to get on. Hug your heel a little better.
Yeah.
But they're both really comfy.
So that's a couple of, little preferences.
And and a couple of years ago, I had a Doctor Who phase, and I asked Mom if she could knit me a Doctor Who sweater. And scarf. Which maybe I'll show later. Oh my gosh. I love having this thing on me.
So yeah, this is a sweater I knit, and I knit this before the big Cowichan Salish knitting phase came back for a little while there, and I had to make up the pattern because we couldn't find one anywhere, so I made it up, and yeah, it was actually really fast to knit because it's super bulky.
Yeah, big stitches. Super
bulky. But I knit it without even knowing it. I knit it in the Salish style. I love the way the Salish style of knitting should be. It's pebbly on the back. You don't have long yarn floats. You twist the twist the yarn with every stitch, and it is actually the style of knitting, which I learned after the fact, that apparently I learned back in 1970. That's how I learned how to knit. So I've always struggled with Fair Isle and stuff because I can't understand these long bits of yarn that hang out behind things. But there we go. I did it without even knowing that that's what I was doing. So there we go.
Yeah. Or are we gonna nearly miss what I bring to the table again?
Right.
Literally.
So one other thing we thought would be fun because Mike's a gamer.
Hi.
And board games.
Hobby board gamer.
You should see the cupboard. It's ridiculous. Anyway, we've started trying to add board games back in, and we've got some friends, and we're having lots of fun with games. And this one
is called Carcassonne. It's a great game if you're looking at getting into the hobby of board gaming.
You don't have to be getting into the.
You don't have to be getting into the hobby of board game. It's just a great game. It's a German style game, which
nothing to me.
It's a very simple. You described it as a bit like a puzzle with actual strategy about it.
It's like a puzzle. It's sort of, I think of like you're building a puzzle, but you can make points while you're doing it.
But yeah, the rules are incredibly simple.
You can make other people mad.
You place down a tile, you put a little wood person on it, and the person next to you goes, "Did you have to?"
So yeah, you have to match up the pieces. But we especially are looking forward to taking this camping because it's got like a little bit of, weight to it, and it's not. But those are the pieces you play with. So it's nice and it's a nice size for camping.
Yeah, and you can ramp up the difficulty, and it's.
So it's good for what? 2 to 5 players? 2
to 5 players. They recommend ages 7+. They say the game takes about 35 minutes to play. In our experience, we find that's about right. 35, 40, 45 minutes.
It depends how long someone takes to decide how they're going to play their tile. Yeah. If people go fairly quickly, it goes quickly. If you have someone who's going to go... It's going to take longer.
It takes a while.
Anyway, so... Yeah, so that's something else we hope to share, some good ideas for games and ones that we think are really worth looking at. Easy learning curve.
Easy game. Easy.
Quick game, and yeah, it's great for playing with friends or people who have played it before or whatever.
Definitely falls into easy to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mike is going to get cast on and get his garter section done, hopefully by next week. I am hopefully going to get my graphite tank cast on by next week. Depends a little bit. I'm in the middle of doing some costuming for a show and kind of in crunch time, so I may not get to knit as much as I like, but we'll see. I'm kind of addicted to knitting. It's a bad thing. And you, because we figured out where the camera was last time. Anyway, yeah, sorry. I'm a nail tech. We're actually in my nail studio right now. I'm a nail tech, so my nails always look a little bit weird because I've got things going on. Either I'm in between a change or I'm testing a new technique or whatever. Anyway, your job is to like, share, and subscribe because we're hoping you like us. And we would love it if you would, in the comments below. I hate people who do that. I do too. In the comments below, if you would tell us a little bit about you. We'd like to know who you are, and you know, ask us questions.